The weekend recap is dead. You have to let go of it. It's over now, and you'll never see it again. Until next season. But from its ashes arises a completely different show in the International News Roundup Desk? International News Desk? I don't know what it's called yet, but I do know that it's completely different from the weekend recap. Absolutely unrecognizable. But I'm thinking of doing this almost daily to keep you guys up to date on the many tournaments going on, as we have Copa America, the Gold Cup, Women's World Cup, and the African Cup of Nations all going on this summer. So subscribe if you want to spend a romantic summer with me. Oh, I'll tell you all about the football, baby. And if you haven't unsubscribed yet, then I would love to thank our sponsors, OneFootball, for making this video happen. OneFootball is a huge help for you to keep track of the latest news from the clubs and competitions you are interested in. For example, you can follow all the international tournaments to get breaking news, scores, and more, on top of transfer news and live match tickers. The link in the description will get you a free download on iOS or Android, so hit it up. Ah, the Copa America, or perhaps you know it better as the Boo, you're a disgrace! You're a sad excuse for a representative of our country! Get off the pitch! Cup. That's what the Brazilian players knew it as, following their putrid first half performances against Bolivia. No, maybe it wasn't that bad, but there was definitely some whistling and booing and going on. That actually brings up a solid question as to why the crowds have been even more crap than Argentina and Brazil were in the first half of some of their openers. I mean, something me and my guy Benfiquista were talking about on Twitter, and he came across this explanation, which shows that the cheapest tickets go for 120 Brazilian or 28 euros, and the most expensive are 125 euros. Seats look like they've seen better days as well, have been treated a little better as well. But to the matches themselves, Brazil had the relatively easy task of getting past Bolivia for the tournament opener, and their first half was really brutal. Part of that could be down to Cheech starting two holding midfielders and Casemiro and Fernandinho. Like, why? Attack. Have faith in yourselves to be able to dominate Bolivia on your own home soil. But in the second half, a Coutinho penalty got things started, with Coutinho adding a second goal thanks to a squared ball from his former boy, Roberto Firmino. Everton scored the pick of the bunch in the 85th minute to make it 3-0 as his roaming run down the left and back into the middle finished with him driving a curler to the far post. Banger. The next day we saw Argentina take on Colombia, in which, wow, sue me, okay? I dared to think that this would be a great match, but my god, that first half was like really not great to watch. The second half did improve, at least for the Colombians, as the assistant coach and head of tactics, Mr. Azet, pointed out that Argentina were at times employing this sort of shape, which all tactical geniuses like myself know that this is the great horseshoe, or the rondo plan of attack, known also as the piggy in the middle plan of the attack, where you completely vacate the middle of the pitch and move forward accordingly. Try to draw him to the outside and hit him down the middle. This is some 4D underwater chess that Lionel Scaloni is playing with Argentina, but unfortunately Colombia coach Carlos Queiroz, shout out to him, is beating him with good old 3D chess thanks to goals from Martinez and Duvan Zapata. Duvan, the bad man. Guy is having the form of his life right now. For Argentina, I mean, this was their first opening match loss at the Copa America since 1979, and their first loss in regulation time since 2007 when they lost the final against Brazil. They had a few chances, notably Messi heading wide in the 66th minute with the goal at his mercy, but they looked about as dull as they did at the World Cup. Poor start from them, great start from Colombia, who are in the driving seat now in their group. Otherwise, Venezuela versus Peru was largely a snoozer. A lot of big opportunities missed, lacking quality from both sides, and Venezuela, having been a man down for the last 15 minutes, will have been happy to escape with a point. Vilker Fariñez was incredible in the Venezuelan goal, but Pedro Galiz was no slouch for Peru either. On top of that, Peru had 2 goals disallowed for VAR, so will their tournament pain continue after that harsh World Cup last year? The most entertaining match for me was Paraguay versus Qatar, as I actually had Paraguay finishing last in this group, so I was a little confused when they went 2-0 up on the Asian champions Qatar, but Almoez Ali, the dude who scored 9 at the Asian Cup, scored an early contender for goal of the tournament alongside Everton's strike for Brazil. And then Rodrigo Roja's own goal handed Qatar a piece of the pie, a piece of the empanada? I don't know. Qatar deserved it, to be honest, as they blew just over 1,000 golden opportunities in the first half, and I still think they have a higher ceiling than Paraguay in this competition. Do they eat empanadas in Paraguay? I'm assuming they do. I figure that's all over South America. And finally, Uruguay beat up on Ecuador as expected, going 1-0 up after just 6 minutes when surprise starter Nico Lodero scored. Didn't expect to see him on the starting 11. Ecuador made it harder for themselves in the 24th minute when Jose Quintero's elbow found Lodero's face, so he was given a red card for his troubles, and Uruguay added 2 more goals before the half was up from who else but Edinson Cavani and Luis Suarez. Cavani is a class striker. I love that guy. And the goal he scored, pretty lit. Today in the Copa America, there's just one match, the final 2 teams to take to the pitch, Japan versus Chile. Looking forward to that one. I like the look of Japan, man. I think they can do some damage in this competition. Chile? I don't know. I see them getting 3rd in their group, but we'll see. In the 2019 Women's World Cup, and I won't do a retrospective on the tournament so far, but I'll follow it day by day now. But the first 2 rounds of the group stage have concluded, and 9 of the final 16 teams have already booked their places in the round of 16. And I know what you're saying. Adrian, they just expanded the tournament to 24 teams from 6 groups. How on earth does that make for 16 teams if you just take the traditional top 2 from each group? Well, the 4 best 3rd place teams will also advance to the round of 16 to round out the field, just like Euro 2016. That's why the USA's victory over Chile yesterday also ensured that Japan, with 4 points in Group D, was also pushed through to the round of 16 despite being in a different group, as they ensured that they will be at least one of the best 3rd place teams from the entire tournament. Speaking of the USA, they had another very strong showing against Chile in which they destroyed them with set pieces in the first half. And if it wasn't for Christian Endler, the Chilean keeper, absolutely stonewalling the Americans with incredible save after incredible save in the second half, and Carly Lloyd missing a penalty to be the first woman to get 2 hat tricks at a World Cup, this could have been another 6-7 or 8-0 for the USA with a largely rotated side. They've got aces up their sleeves, man. They're looking so strong. I was curious to see if they would celebrate any differently after some of the backlash they got for their celebrations from the senior players at 9 and 12-0 against Thailand. And they did. Carly Lloyd did a little golf clap to the crowd, and the bench celebrated and then told each other to be quiet and calm. I thought it was funny, I guess. But I mean, also, nobody had any problems with the Americans celebrating at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0. It was the later celebrations at like 9-0 and up. So I don't think they really got the point, but it's okay either way because I appreciate the sense of humor. Okay, moving on. So Sweden beat up on Thailand 5-1. Yes, Sweden ran up the score to 5, but Thailand managed to get 1 with an extremely touching moment that moved their general manager, Nualfan Lamsam, to tears on the sidelines. Big shout out to Canada. Guys, how often do I get to shout out my country? Not my parents' birth country, but my birth country, as the Canadians kept another clean sheet, this time against New Zealand, and grabbed a 2-0 win. 10-match unbeaten run, 9 clean sheets in the process, and with the Netherlands also taking 6 points from 2 matches, both Canada and the Netherlands are already through before their matchup on Thursday. Today there's a ton to choose from as both groups A and B play their final matches. In Group A, France are taking on Nigeria. France are already through with 6 points, but Nigeria are tied with Norway, who will be facing South Korea / Korea Republic, choose your own nomenclature, and I expect them to go through in 2nd place. In Group B, it's an extremely similar situation, except with the added benefit of the 2 teams who are tied on 3 points, China and Spain, will be facing each other for the rights to 2nd place. Germany are taking on South Africa in a largely nothing game. South Africa will be eliminated unless they win by a ton and have results go their way to get into 3rd. You guys want to talk CONCACAF? Oh, I know you Europeans and guys from Africa and Asia will be itching to talk some CONCACAF, if you even recognize what that is and understand the words coming out of my mouth right now. Well, the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup is underway, a tournament that is basically designed to have the USA play Mexico in the final. Everyone knows that. And Mexico left some notable names off of their squad, so you can see how seriously they're taking things. But they'll have to get past CONCACAF giants and fellow Group A powerhouse Canada first, as Canada put down an early marker with their 4-0 win over Martinique. You know what? Martinique was actually the better team in the first half, or at least created the more dangerous chances, but Canada really turned it around in the second, propelled by young talents Jonathan David, who scored a brace, what a ledge, and Alphonso Davies, who was at the heart of a fair few moves for Canada in the attack. Thank God for Milan Borjan of Red Star Belgrade in frame for Canada, as he kept them in it. So yeah, 4-0 against Martinique, man, and Mexico will be...
Mexico beat Cuba 7-0.
What? What was that, editor Adrian?
Sorry, I said Mexico beat Cuba 7-0.
Well, I mean... So, yeah, Mexico destroyed Cuba as expected, but really, they really aren't a football nation. Whereas Uriel Utuña scored a hat-trick, Raul Jimenez scored a brace. Canada and Mexico play each other on Wednesday. Yesterday, Bermuda made history by scoring their first ever Gold Cup goal against Haiti. The man who scored the historic notch was Dante Leverock, defender and captain. Anyways, unfortunately for Bermuda, they didn't get their first win at a Gold Cup, as a second half brace from Francis Pirot gave the Haitians the big 2-1 comeback win. Unfortunate Bermuda, keep your head up. Also, Costa Rica smacked up Nicaragua in a historic match that was the first ever Gold Cup match to be played on Costa Rican soil, and it took them just 7 minutes to open the scoring. It wasn't as if Nicaragua weren't generating chances early on the counter. They were, but they had issues with finding the net. While Costa Rica were clinical, Cecil Borges made it 2-0 in the 19th, and in first half stoppage time, Elias Aguiar made it 3-0 before the half. Unlucky for Nicaragua, they let in a fourth as Costa Rica weren't in the mood to be kind hosts, as Alan Saboria collected from veteran boy Brian Ruiz to make it 4-0 Costa Rica, and that's how this one ended. So, today, the States still aren't playing yet for the Americans out there. You'll have to wait until Tuesday to see them in action. Today, instead, you can catch El Salvador versus Curacao and Jamaica, finalists from the last competition, taking on Honduras, who are fresh off of a bare booty spanking from Brazil. And that's it for today, guys. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this almost daily, so be sure to subscribe and beat that bell to get notifications when I upload. Cool? Sweet, sounds good. I'll do some transfer news this week on top of some other stuff. All right, I'm Adrian, I love ya, and I'll see you in the next video.